94% of people, oh, that sounds a bit, let me just, how's that?
Better.
Okay. So do you know that 94% of people have unwanted thoughts, and the majority of those thoughts relate to self-doubt? So I'm Robin McTague, Master Holistic Healer, and I'm here to talk to you today about mindset. So it's a kind of a buzzword these days about what is mindset. So the research talks about either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. So if we're focusing on a fixed mindset, no. Oh, let's see if it will stay there. Okay, sorry about the feedback. So yeah, so there's two types. There's fixed and there's growth. And we want the growth because that helps us to be better in the world and be more of who we are. And really, it comes down to one word, and that one word is attitude. So it's our attitude of how we look at the world with our past experiences and that ability to move forward into more of what we want in the world. And my clicker needs to... Oh, so I'm not seeing my full thing. Sorry. There we go. Let's get back. So there is no stasis in life. We're either moving forward or we're going backwards. It's energy. We can't stay in one spot. So this is one of the reasons why we need to have a growth mindset so that we're continually moving forward. And life is all around change. Even though we don't feel like we want to change often, that's part of life, and it's a lesson that we need to learn. And that's why the growth mindset is really helpful. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about three tips to increase your growth mindset so that you can go back out into the world and actually use some of this stuff. And if we have time, I'll give you one bonus. So for me, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family where my dad was alcoholic, rageaholic, abuser. My mom was mentally ill. So people never said what they meant or meant what they said. So I grew up as a very confused kid trying to figure out the world. So that drove me to learn about psychology, conflict resolution, all these different areas because I wanted to know how the human mind worked. And one of the things I learned is that, oops, we're too far, is that everything is energy. Yeah. So Albert Einstein said everything in the universe is vibration. So I like to talk about vibration or energy. Use those words interchangeably. So we can think about a low vibration when we're sick. So maybe we have a cold or the flu, we don't have a lot of energy, where our mind isn't very clear, it's fuzzy. Or high vibration, we're with people we love, we have lots of energy, where our mind is engaged and we're happy. So that's the growth mindset. It's all about attitude again. So has anyone seen The Secret? Yeah. So in The Secret, they talk about our words and our thoughts becoming things. Whoops. I think we missed a slide.
Too bad.
Yeah. So I'm going from 3 to 1 and we're into word usage. Sorry about that. So in The Secret, they talk about our words and thoughts becoming reality and manifesting what we want. But I actually met Marie Diamond, one of the people in that movie, and she agrees there's a lot of steps in between that we have to work with before we actually do that. So it's not quite as simple as people make out that, you know, I'm just going to think about being a millionaire and that's it. It's just going to happen. Well, that's not the case. We have to work with that. And especially with affirmations, a lot of people use affirmations and they'll say, I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, that's not necessarily the case. If there's such a gap between what we say and what we are, then actually it feels like more of a gap. Our mind is not going to grasp that. So we need to kind of look at what are the steps along the way. So we do the best we can with what we know, and when we know more, then we can change things. So with word usage, I like to give you one concrete thing to do, and what I would say is think about what are the words that you use, both verbally and the thoughts. What are the phrases? What are the things that you say in your day? And journal or write them down, and you may see a pattern, and then you can actually look at what is actually playing out in my life. So you may notice that you're saying certain words, and that's creating your reality, because if you're saying, I hate this, or, you know, I don't like doing this, what's going to happen? You're going to get more of it. So with word usage, there's a couple of things that we can do. How many people here either have friends or themselves have said, I want to lose weight? Yeah. So if I lose my glasses, I want to find them again. It's the same with weight. If I say I want to lose it, well, it's going to come back. So maybe I want to reduce my weight. I want to release it. You want to find a word that will actually be more of what you do want. How about everyone knows Yoda. So if I try to lift my arm, am I going to do it? Probably not. Right? So I'm either going to lift my arm or I'm not. There is no try. So if we're constantly saying, I'm going to try to do this, is it going to happen? Think about when you say with friends, oh, I'll try to be there. In the back of your mind, you're giving yourself an out because it's like, well, maybe I don't want to get committed to that. So instead, be clear. It's like, I haven't decided, I'll get back to you. This kind of thing where you can actually make a choice and take responsibility for yourself. And back in the 80s, when I worked in a semi-quasi-government agency, we actually had a booklet, and we were told to use different languaging. So for example, we don't need to say chairman. Chair is sufficient. Like, we don't have to clarify that or gender it. And another one is staffing. We're staffing the tables. I don't have to man the table. But it's in our culture and it's in our mind. So the more that we reinforce that behavior, the more that we continually get stuck. So how about when you get frustrated and you say, oh boy, you know, or man, that really takes the cake for whatever it is. We get caught into this. And research is now showing with the transgender youth the more that we can use the pronouns that they want, the names that they want, the risk of suicide is really reduced. So it's not just a nice to have, I think it's something that we need to do in our society to make our world inclusive and make sure people feel seen and heard. And we want to talk about having a choice. So watching your language for things like, there was an old saying on TV, the devil made me do it, right? We're giving responsibility away to someone else. We're leaking our energy to other people. We're giving our power away when we do that. Instead, make a choice of what you want to do. I choose to do this. I plan to, these kind of things, rather than giving away your power to others. And the last one in this area is to question your thoughts. Is it true? What evidence do I have for that? So if that inner critic is telling you something, is that really true? So really look at those phrases, thoughts, ideas, and if you're not sure, ask your friends, because chances are you say something on a regular basis that you don't even realize because you're like the fish in the fishbowl and it's just part of who you are. So we need other people to help us to see sometimes what we're doing on a regular basis. And the number 2 tip is gratitude. So the more that we can bring gratitude into our life and appreciate what we have, that energy will bring us more of what we do have. So this is another area that I like to recommend journaling. Does anyone here do a gratitude journal? Yeah. So it's a way, I like to do it before bed because it helps us with our unconscious and puts that in our mind. Instead of thinking about the things we haven't done over the day, put something positive in your mind so you can take that away. In the morning, I do like to have a routine where I think about the gratitude. I don't necessarily journal. And I also do some meditation, and I set an intention for my day, and I also do a prayer for my Enneagram type that really helps me to keep myself centered on who I am. A book I read years ago that I still recommend to people is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. This was a man who was in a Nazi death camp, and he came out of that situation and created a new form of psychotherapy called logotherapy. And logotherapy's basis is that we all search for meaning. So this was a really different way of thinking back in the 40s when he was around than what had been in our society. And so he talked about the last freedom that we have that they couldn't take away from him, and that was attitude. So he kept his mind going with things like remembering people he loved, the nature that he had in his home, all of that. And so they didn't break him through all of the trials and tribulations that he went through. So it's an amazing read. It's a little short book. But it really shows us back to that word I said at the beginning, which is attitude and growth mindset. So again, the gratitude journal is something. And some days you wake up and it's like nothing's going right. So what I recommend is that you have a list of what you're grateful for at your stead for those days. And it can be simple things like, I have a voice to speak, I have ears to hear, I have a roof over my head, I have drinking water that comes out of a tap, unlike a large part of the world. Even in Canada, we have people that don't have fresh drinking water. So we can have that list at our stead when we're feeling kind of down, and it will help with that thought process. Because we have neural pathways in our brain, and what happens, they become like a rutted road. And we just go deeper and deeper. So we can't get rid of that, but what we can do is override it and bring in new thoughts to overtake that. And number 1 is taking responsibility for yourself and your actions. Your attitude, your everything in your life. Because if we don't, then again, we're giving away our power or leaking our energy to other people. And when we're congruent with who we are and we have integrity in what we say and follow through and do all of it, then no one can really shake our core of who we are. We can stand up to those outside forces that are just part of life. And it helps us to be stronger in relationships because life is all about relationships. It doesn't matter where you go. And so I have a process that I like to recommend and also remind people that we are not defined by our past. If that was the case, I wouldn't be speaking to you today. I came from a very difficult upbringing and had a lot of trauma in my past. I had breast cancer, I've had hep C, and I'm here today to say it's in my past. Yes, I had to deal with some of that stuff, but I can deal with it and move forward. So what I like to recommend is every quarter have a look at what's going on in your life. So personal, professional, commitments you've made to people, all these different areas of your life. And plan it out and see what can I incorporate, what do I want to include, what have I completed, have that celebration. We need to have celebration all along the way. It helps that mindset again, help us to relate to that and continue to celebrate what we do. So not just the big ones at the end, but all the little ones along the way. And so you can look at those projects and it's like, is there someone I need to contact? And I said I would do that. I said I was going to do this. First of all, incorporate it if you want to. Maybe it's something that can wait. I'm going to put it on the back burner for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and then it's out of your mind. It's not pulling on your energy and your thoughts. Because if it's not, then it can lose our focus with what we're actually doing. So if we can say, I'm specifically decided to do this, then we feel more focus. And then the other one could be that you decide it just doesn't fit you anymore. So I like to use the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So it clears the energy. So maybe I paid for a course and it just doesn't suit me. And instead of beating myself up and saying, oh, I need to finish it because I paid for it, it's like, no, I'm going to forgive myself. I decided it just doesn't work for me. So I'm going to say the prayer and let it go. And then that energy is not pulling on me and my thoughts. One of the areas I find people get stuck in is anger. So it's an emotion that our society doesn't deal with well, and so it gets suppressed. And for me, I grew up in a household that wasn't safe to express that, so I had to push it down. And so people are surprised when they learn they can actually express it and be different with it. So I've had people say to me, oh, you make me angry. And it's like, no, I don't make you do anything. I don't have any control over you. But when we actually step back and see, okay, the feeling comes up, and there's actually a piece where I can make a decision on how I'm going to react, they're really surprised. And they start to see how it plays out in their life. We see road rage. For me as a kid, because I couldn't express it when I was younger, I was very much into the passive-aggressive kind of thing, because I didn't know how to express it. And so once we know better, we do better, right? Once we have that awareness, then we can shift it because we're aware of it. So in the Enneagram work, we call this a shadow. So parts of ourselves we don't want to look at, we put it away, we ignore it, and it's going to come out in weird and wonderful ways. And that's why we see the road rage in these places where people play out anger and other emotions because they haven't addressed it. And so we have a saying in the Enneagram work, all parts are welcome. So it's only when we actually bring those parts into the light and learn how to address them that we can be fully well and actually have that mindset really strongly of who we are and what we believe and what is important to us. So it's really being kind to ourselves and really bringing that in. I've find kindness is one of my biggest things that I want people to find for themselves. And when we do that and learn about our type and those ego structures that kind of keep us stuck, we can also build more compassion for ourselves and for others. Because it's all about accepting who we are and not making ourselves weak. And it is hard to see because we are inside the picture frame. We have a certain way that we view the world. And this is why I like to work with people to give them a fresh perspective to see things in a different light. Even for myself, I work with other people because I can't do it all on my own. We all have blind spots. So the reframing of words, all of the different things we talked about is what I love to do and help people to see they can really go inwards, find that uniqueness of who they are, and then bring that to the world. Because really that's all what it's all about to me. This is sort of out of order, but that's the Enneagram work that I do with people. And when we own our actions, I like to talk about correct responsibility, and it's our responsibility. So this is about creating healthy boundaries. So I respond the way I need to for myself, and that person out there can respond how they need to. I don't have to leak my energy to them, and they don't have to leak theirs to me. We can be two people in a situation, and I know more who I am. And what this is really leads to is self first. And that's what I teach in the meditation and healing course. Because that was my lesson with the breast cancer. I was doing for everyone else. I was on the strata, working full time, doing union work, and there was no time for me. Something had to give, and it was my physical body.
And you're over.
And so if we don't take care of ourselves first, it's like the oxygen mask. If you can't take care of anyone else, if we're passed out on the ground. And so again, when we can bring more of ourselves who we are, create those healthy boundaries, take responsibility, watch what we say and do, be integrous with who we are, then we can come together with others in a more joyful, happy way. And really that's what it's all about. I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to be worrying about what other people think about me. I want to be who I am. And your bonus tip is meditation. And whatever form you use, the type I teach is an active style where you actually learn to do a healing that helps you, and you can do the healing on other people, and it engages the mind. And I do information sessions on that if you're interested. And those are some of the books that I've been in. I've been in 4 books so far. I'm working on my own finally. And so my booth is over here, and feel free to sign up. I'm doing a draw and doing clarity calls for anyone who's interested at information sessions. And we have $100 off on the training and power courses for the meditation and healing right now. So thank you for your attention. I really appreciate that.